From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater. Radio 111 presents Bonnie G and Brayan Mendoza with The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie and Brayan.
Hey, welcome back to The Desert Scene. In this particular episode, we're going to pay tribute to one of our favorite composers of musical theater, Steven Sondheim, who unfortunately passed away at 91 years old. What a
legend, yeah.
And he passed away of cardiovascular disease at age 91 and has led a legacy that we both really appreciate and the musical theater world really did feel. He died on November 26th, so not too far from Thanksgiving. Not too far from Thanksgiving.
It was the day after. I think it was the day after.
It was the day after, yeah. And he was born on March 22nd, 1930, and passed away November 26th. So 91 years of Steven Sondheim. And you know, the thing is that he lived so long and he had such an impact on the world of musical theater. Like in the 20th century, he in my opinion, the American musical. If he isn't the father of it, he reinvented it. Yeah. He spanked it to...
That's what a lot of people say. Yeah, he definitely reinvented. I mean, and it's really diverse stuff if you think about it. I mean, we're talking about West Side Story, Gypsy, Sweeney Todd, Company, Follies, Sunday in the Park with George. I mean, it's some very, very diverse kinds of musicals. Some really sort of traditional and some really not, you know.
And what I like about it is that his music has become sort of like the songs within the musicals have become sort of like important anthems for various groups and various people. Like, I don't know if you know this, but somewhere from the musical's West Side Story, it became a gay anthem during the gay liberation movement.
I did not know that. So
a lot of people felt that song really spoke to them about, you know, going out and finding a place where they belonged, and you know, someday somewhere they'll find a wonderful place for them to go to. And so a lot of gay men definitely related to that sentiment in the song from West Side Story. You know, of course you can say Steven Sondheim wasn't entirely sure if like that song would fit that, but he'd never outright told anybody not to enjoy his music, of course. And Steven Sondheim came out as gay in the 40s, and he was married to a gentleman named I always try to remember
Jeff Romley, and they were married in 2017. And Jeff Romley passed away not too. If I ever remember correctly, no, I don't. Did his partner pass away too? No, I don't think. Well, I said 2021, so I think he had already passed away, I believe. I think.
No,
or maybe that's just when they were together. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's been together, yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, you know what I love about Steven Sondheim is that his music certainly, like, I think what makes his music so interesting is that it always sounds so new. Mm-hmm. Even if it's an older musical like West Side Story, it's always being reinvented and it always sounds so fresh.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I was just thinking about, I mean, there's so many songs, but a couple that stand out for me, Being Alive, which was from Company, is a great song. And one that people I think forget about from Gypsy. I mean, Gypsy is such a great show. There's a song called Little Lamb that Louise sings in Gypsy, where she's kind of, because little June is the star of the show, and Louise is kind of pushed to the background, but then she becomes Gypsy Rose Lee. She becomes the big stripper. But it's her birthday, and people have kind of forgotten about her birthday, and she sings this song called Little Lamb. And it's such a pretty and very poignant song about being forgotten and left in the corner, and it's just a really pretty song.
That musical, like, I remember everyone talks about Let Me Entertain You, but Little Lamb is such a good song, and really that's what I like about his music, is that even the songs that aren't as famous definitely stick out. They would be the best songs of anyone else's like repertoire. And in
No One Is Alone, but also going back to Gypsy, the guy, I forget the character's name, but he kind of romances Louise a little bit, and it's a song called All I Need Now Is the Girl. You know, got my best suit, I got this, got that, all I need now is the girl. That's a great tune also.
And you know what song I actually really liked of his was children will listen from Into the
Yes.
Woods. And the one person, I don't know if you agree with me, who can sing that the best is Bernadette Peters.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm going to go see her later in concert in a couple months, so I'm excited to see her rendition of it. But I think that when it comes to like his songs, another song that really sticks out to me is from Sweeney Todd called Mrs. Levitt's Pies. The one about like baking, these are the worst pies in London. That's what it's called, the worst pies in London. And it's such a humorous song. And what I love about it is that like the different ways that various people have sung that song, it just always is open to interpretation. And that's what I love about his music, is that every artist can bring something new to it, and it always sounds so authentic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I wanted to ask you if you had any. Have you seen any movie adaptations of his work?
Well, I saw the original West Side Story, not the new one, but the original way back when, and Gypsy, of course. I haven't seen the movies of any of the other ones, actually. I hate to say.
Have you? What about Sweeney Todd?
I did not see Sweeney, and I've never seen a production of Sweeney Todd. I know a lot of the music, I know people, but I've never seen the whole show, unfortunately.
Oh, I mean, I think in some ways it's one of my favorite Sondheim, but it's also like, I don't know how to put it, but I feel like I would say it's almost one of my favorites, but my favorite one's always going to be Into the Woods, along with West Side Story. And did you ever see the Into the Woods movie?
No, I did not.
So the Into the Woods movie is kind of a curiosity because they have some interesting choices for the cast. Like, you know, the witch who was originally played by Bernadette Peters is now played by Meryl Streep. So it's a curious casting decision, if anything. But
she's got a good voice, though. Has been singing for years. So
no, that's true. That's true. She does have a good voice in that. It's just it's a very different interpretation of it, and that's what I like about his music, is that if the artist is good, the songs are versatile enough to be interpreted
by different people. Yeah,
because like I feel like Bernadette's is a little bit more snarky compared to like Meryl Streep's version, and it sounds both good either way, even though I definitely think Bernadette Peters is a whole different level. It just is that type of music. And I gotta say that I'm a little sad that he'll never get to see the movie adaptation for Merrily We Roll Along. I don't know if you know this, but that show, have you ever seen it, by the way?
No, I have not, but there's a song in that called Old Friends that we did in a medley in the show I did for Desert Ensemble Theater Company called Reunited. And we opened the show with this song called Old Friends, which is from Merrily We Roll Along.
If I remember that musical, no matter how much I've enjoyed it, like I've seen like productions of it, I can't remember that many songs from it, but I always think of that as more of a show where the whole show is good. But I don't remember that song, to be honest with you.
Because I went on YouTube, and because I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is in it, yes. And it shows him and two other people in the cast rehearsing that song at the piano, Old Friends. So
I was going to say that Richard Linklater, he is a director who directed the movie Boyhood. You know that movie he made over 10 years where every year he recorded a new...
Yes, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's doing this experimental thing where he's recording the ending of the play, of the movie version this year. And then 20 years from now, he'll record the rest of the movie. Because the play takes place over a span of 20 years. And he wanted the actors to age naturally into their roles instead of putting on like fake makeup and all that. But... that I'm a little sad that he'll never ever like get to see that, but if it's bad after 20 years, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm glad. But if I remember that play being one of my least favorites, but quick question, favorite musicals of his?
Gosh, that's so hard. But see, this is colored partly because some of them I haven't seen full productions of, but I just off the top of my head, I'd have to say Gypsy. I love Gypsy. I think it's such a great show. That's such a wonderful show. And, what did you think about the Natalie Wood movie, if you don't mind me asking? Did you ever see that movie? With her? Oh, I thought she was terrific. I thought she was terrific. That movie proved that she can sing, especially considering that she was dubbed for West Side Story. And, for me personally, I think my favorite one of his shows is either Into the Woods, but there's
there's a part of me that's like, no, it's West Side Story.
Well, I don't. It's kind of tied between West Side Story and Gypsy for me. I mean, they're both just fabulous. Yeah.
For some reason, there was this before we go, I wanted to say that there was always this like. I don't know if you've ever heard of South Park. You've seen South Park, right?
I try. Eric likes to watch it. I avoid it mostly. Understandable. But there's this one episode where they have like, I'm not going to get into what it's about, but it's an episode where there's a conspiracy theory about why women love a musical theater. And so these guys figured out the secret. And so Steven Sondheim, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and a couple others, Oscars and Hammersteins, they show up and try to beat up the guys from South Park. And there's this part where like, like the character's like, bro, I respect you. Don't hit me, Steven Sondheim. And Steven Sondheim's like, what do you have? I have Merrily We Roll Along. We have Sweeney Todd. Yeah.
And the guy keeps saying stuff like, I respect you, Sondheim. I love you. I love your show. And then they hug it out and have a drink afterwards. And it's like,
well, that's cute.
And it was such an interesting tribute because the guys who make South Park also made Book of Mormon. So they love musical theater, but it was so nice to see them respecting Steven Sondheim. Yeah. And
well, rest in peace, Steven. Thank you so much for the legacy you left us. You left a footprint bigger than your own by far. Steven Sondheim, we'll miss you.
And I just got to say, probably my favorite composer of all time is Steven Sondheim in terms of musical theater. And thank you, Mr. Sondheim. And if you're curious, there are various wonderful movie adaptations that he was involved in. West Side Story from 1961 and a new version that's coming out. And Gypsy and Into the Woods. So if you're curious, there's plenty of great productions out there. And Into the Woods does have a production filmed with Bernadette Peters, and it's available online or buy the DVD. Support musical theater.
Yes.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.